You couldn't talk to him for 5 minutes without knowing he was a space propulsion guy. Not just space, not just rockets, but propulsion.
When Konrad Dannenberg was a teenager, he saw his first rocket demonstration, and he knew that's what he wanted to do. Like the children who come to space camp, he was aiming himself for the stars.
When I became interested as a young high school student in spaceflight, it was always our dream to leave the Earth. And even today, I still feel one of these days we will go with manned launch vehicles to Mars and eventually populate the entire solar system.
Konrad's determination to build rockets took him from his homeland in Germany, where he worked on the V-2A4, the first rocket into space, to the United States, where he worked on the Saturn V, the rocket that helped land the first men on the moon. As a member of Dr. von Braun's rocket team, Konrad saw it all. But when he retired in the 1970s, he really didn't know what he wanted to do next.
He got frustrated. I mean, at that age, he was in his 60s. He tried consulting for a while, he tried teaching for a while, and none of that worked out. He didn't like any of it. He went into a huge depression. And about 75 or so, I had talked to him one day and said, "Dad, what's going on? Why are you so down? Why are you so depressed?" And his answer was amazing. He said, "Well, when you're a boy and you want to go to the moon and you do it, and what do you do next?" And that's a pretty good question. I didn't have a good answer for him.
But then everything changed. Ed Buckby, who was then the executive director of what was called the Alabama Space and Rocket Center, reached out to Konrad to ask him to help develop the programs for a new science camp that was going to be called Space Camp.
He found a second calling, and the second calling was Space and Rocket Center.
I think one of the nicest things ever said about Konrad was from his fellow von Braun engineer, Dieter Grau, that he thinks that Konrad's second career, teaching rocketry and rocket history, may have been more important than his first career being a rocket engineer.
Konrad wrote curriculum, advised on best practices, and most importantly, taught campers of all ages about rocketry through lectures and demonstrations.
He could make rocketry understandable to a 3-year-old. One of the things that kind of broke the ice, he said, "I always bring a rocket engine with me." And he reached in his pocket and pulled out a balloon. And he blew it up and he let it go. He said, "The reason it didn't go into orbit is because it doesn't have guidance and control."
Konrad Dannenberg died at the age of 96 in 2009. But by then, he had dedicated 2.5 decades of his life to space camp. Ed Buckby later estimated that he had taught over 250,000 children. Connie liked to say that he was a rocket propulsion specialist, but his true specialty was training kids to aim for the stars.
It's a completion. I mean, it's the second part of his career. First he got to the moon, and now he's got other people interested in continuing it. So he passed the torch successfully.